Okay, and then finally she let me, that woman said, okay, well, and they were just all over the place. And finally this woman come over here and she said, I'll tell you, she said, I'll go ahead and let you sit over there by them. So she let me sit right here. So I was sitting right here. I asked Dave, I said, Dave, can I have a drink of Coke or something? So he got up to hand me my Coke. And she said, you sit back down or you will be handcuffed. And I said, well, I said, I was just wanting to get a drink of Coke. And so anyway, then she called one of the big guys over. She said, I want this man handcuffed. He is a menace to my safety. And there's 7 guys out here with M16s. How could he be a menace to her safety? But I mean, she was really being a bitch. The men were nice.
Were they pointing their guns at you?
Oh yeah, she pointed a gun at me. They were pointing guns at all of us. Okay, so anyway.
How many people total would you say were out here?
Oh, at least 15 or 20. And
going back to the helicopter, how this all started, then I want to go through the raid.
Okay.
Mrs. Smith, how high off the ground was the helicopter?
Oh, it was very low. I mean, it was right over the top of the building. You could hear it just circling and circling. And
so you'd say it was about 30 feet above those trees?
It was real low because all the neighbors noticed, and it was making a lot of noise.
What color was it?
I thought it was black.
The police in the Chronicle implied that they got some report of this here in the Surveillance Tattletale Society. Do you think it was some, quote, do-gooder neighbors that saw some weeds in your backyard and called?
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. But the thing about it was the helicopter did not spot anything because everybody told me they were down at RO's Barbecue before this ever started, before the helicopter ever came over. They stopped in the parking lot of those 2 little cafes. They were out there suiting up before they ever came down here, and they said, we got a big drug bust going on. They told everybody that.
Now, it seems if the police were really worried about their safety, they wouldn't send the helicopter first to fly around for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like they were trying to terrorize us, is the way it seemed to me, like it was some kind of message thing or something. Then after they left, we were so upset because we saw they'd been through all our houses while they was out here. We were at gunpoint. We had no choice. And they came through the back of all our houses because they were all open. It's just country out here.
Without a warrant?
Without a warrant. They never said anything at any time about a warrant. And it's not like the sheriffs don't know me. I worked at this store for 15 years. I know all the sheriffs. And, they could come to me and ask me anything at any time. They'd say, Sandy, somebody said you had some weird-looking weeds behind your house. Can we take a look? I'd say, sure, I don't care. They've been here 3 years, but you can have them. The last traffic ticket I had was 20 years ago. And I don't even smoke cigarettes, much less marijuana.
And how long have you lived here?
I've lived here 30 years.
And never any problems?
No. Then after they had left, we were so upset because they had taken my friend's BB guns, laid them on the chair with them cocked. Okay, they knocked down a painting on my bedroom. And they also, let's see, oh yeah, what else did they do? Okay, over here in this other little house, and he was going to work. His kids were in school, thank God, because it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. And they knocked down the curtains in his house, plus they opened all the drawers, and there was like a little tin can or something with some toys in it. They had opened that. And, but what really upset me the most was everybody was telling everybody all around here, said, well, they busted Sandy and she had 5 marijuana plants and they spread eagled her on the ground with handcuffs behind her. And I've been out here for 30 years. I mean, this totally destroys my reputation. I mean, it makes me look like some kind of criminal. That's why I would like a public apology about this. It has put so much stress on me that I'm going to have to go to the doctor and get something for my nerves. I can't even sleep good anymore thinking about it. And at work sometimes I just almost cry thinking about it. And everybody's talking about it. I mean, it's just really put a strain on my life. Because I always thought this was my homestead. I thought I was safe here, but it just didn't work out that way.
So you and your late husband moved out here 30 years ago to get away from the big city. Mm-hmm. Are you saying this is, talk about that and what this has done to your serenity, your quality of life?
Yeah, well, my husband was a musician. He had in a way I feel like he's trying to help me because he had a record in the 72 called I'm a Little Man. And it was a #1 hit on all 3 stations in Houston. And when we came here and we saw this place, it was just raw land. And we looked all over Texas looking for a place to buy, and we saw this place, and he said, this is the place I want to be. And We lived here for 30 years. He's been dead now, 8 years. But I tell you what, he would roll over in his grave if he's seen all this stuff that's happened to me. I think it's all these people moving out here. We never had this problem until all of a sudden now they want a homeowners association, and they're telling people out here, I mean, why don't they go to Austin where they say there's crack houses, deserted houses, but out here, I mean, you know, we're just poor people just trying to survive, and everybody knew that this was just for mobile homes.
Well, you know, houses are going for over $1 million to $10 million around here.
Well, if somebody wants to give me $10 million to this place, I'll move.
Do you, have folks been trying to get you to sell the property?
Well, what we figured is why this guy over here is harassing me so much is because he owns all this land back in here. He's the biggest property owner. Plus, he owns the lot right below me. And, you know, it's like 2 and 3 acre tracts. So he's always hated it because I had this corner lot. And if he had this corner lot, then he figures he can, you know, have the whole shebang. That's what I figure he's trying to put in some development. So he's trying to intimidate me so bad and scare me so bad because he asked, like in this lawsuit, for $65,000. So he figured that would scare me so bad, I would just give him, you know, I would just give him my place or something.
Now, he's called the health department on you, you say 13 times?
13 times, yes.
3 seconds after the SWAT team arrived, they had identified the fact that this was not marijuana. But they continued their raid for an estimated 30 to 40 minutes, ransacking all 3 of the homes that are in this general vicinity, not just the one where this was found.
So they knew it wasn't marijuana right when they showed up. Now they had to find something inside.
They went right straight to it. Within 30 seconds after the arrival of an estimated 12 to 15 officers in approximately 7 or 8 vehicles plus dirt bikes, they knew that this was not marijuana because they went directly to it, and yet they stayed here another 30 to 40 minutes, holding the individuals at gunpoint, rousting one from his home at gunpoint with 5 guns in his face, and they searched all 3 of the homes, not just the one nearest their suspected marijuana. Well, I believe that they might have just been stupid to think this was marijuana, but they should have left after the first 30 or 40 seconds with an apology, but instead of that, they did violently illegal things to the home of Mrs. Smith and her friends.
So they showed up, they ransacked the homes, but before even that happened, before 30 seconds on the property, they knew this wasn't marijuana, but they were trying to find something. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And
were they trying to have a pretext, an excuse for what they did?
Apparently, we speculate this way. We think that they had a complaint which was insufficient to obtain a warrant. So they contrived this whole little charade to come in and search her property. The individual who was in charge of the raid, Sergeant Richard Hale, told her at one point in time that they had a sensor on the helicopter which detected the spectrum of marijuana. Because I think you can plainly see with all this overhang of cedar and so on, there isn't any way a helicopter even at 30 feet could have identified what these plants were. So we don't think that they even had probable cause to enter. They obviously didn't have probable cause for a warrant. But once they had identified this stuff here for whatever it is, but not marijuana, they should have left immediately. Everything they did beyond that point is inexcusable.
So once they found out it wasn't marijuana, you think they were still trying to vindicate themselves and look for something?
Yes, and we believe that they accepted a complaint for an individual that we have had numbers of people point to as the complainant, and that he stated not only did they have marijuana, but there are other drugs in the homes, blah, blah. So
and they searched the homes, nothing was found?
Absolutely nothing. If they had found as much as a tiny little residue of marijuana, I'm sure they would have thrown them all in jail.